The heat of San Antonio fell like a solid weight on the asphalt. Nicole Johnson pushed her cart through the Lowe's parking lot, wooden boards rattling with each bump. She checked her watch, 3:20. Plenty of time to load up and get to the school before pickup. The sun pressed down on her shoulders, made her shirt stick to her back. She was thinking about the fence, about measurements, about whether she'd bought enough nails. Then she heard the footsteps. Not casual shopping footsteps, but coordinated ones, purposeful. Nicole looked up and saw 3 men approaching in tactical vests, badges glinting. ICE agents. Her stomach dropped even before they spoke. "Ma'am, we need to see identification and proof of citizenship." The lead agent's voice was flat, professional, final. Nicole set down the board she'd been holding, kept her hands visible. "On what basis are you stopping me? We're conducting operations in this area. Need to verify your status." Her heart hammered, but her voice stayed steady. "What specific reason do you have to stop me? What crime do you suspect me of?" The agent's expression didn't change. "Just need to see your documents, ma'am." Nicole felt the familiar weight of it, being black in a public space, being questioned for existing. She'd read about this, prepared for this, hoped it would never happen. "I'm an American citizen. I have a right to know why I'm being stopped." The other 2 agents moved closer, forming a triangle around her, blocking her path to her truck. "If you have nothing to hide, this will be quick," one of them said. Nicole looked around. People were starting to notice. A Lowe's employee stood near the entrance, watching. An older man paused with his shopping cart. This wasn't private anymore. "Good. I'm not hiding anything. But I'm also not required to prove my citizenship to you without reasonable suspicion." Nicole pulled out her phone, slowly, deliberately announcing what she was doing. "I'm recording this interaction." The lead agent tensed. "Ma'am, put the phone away. I have a right to record public officials performing their duties." She held the phone steady, aimed it at all 3 of them. "I'm Nicole Johnson. It's approximately 3:25 on Thursday afternoon. I'm being detained by 3 ICE agents who haven't provided any justification for this stop. We're not detaining you. Then I'm free to go." She moved toward her truck. The agents didn't step aside. "We still need to see identification." Nicole stopped. "Based on what probable cause? What makes you think I've committed any crime?" Silence, the kind that speaks volumes. The agent's jaw worked, but no answer came. A woman's voice called out, "Is there a problem?" The Lowe's employee, orange apron bright against the concrete. "Federal business," the lead agent said sharply. "Move along." But the employee didn't move. Neither did the older man, who'd pulled out his own phone now. More witnesses, more cameras. Nicole felt her hands shaking but kept recording. Nicole's voice carried across the parking lot. "I'm being racially profiled. I'm a black woman loading lumber, and apparently that's suspicious. Ma'am, don't make this difficult. I'm not making anything difficult. I'm exercising my constitutional rights, 4th Amendment. You need reasonable suspicion to detain someone. Do you have that?" The lead agent's face darkened. "We have authority to verify immigration status, not without cause." Nicole's legal research, all those late nights reading case law, crystallized into clarity. "Random stops based on appearance are unconstitutional. You know that." One of the side agents shifted uncomfortably. He looked young, uncertain. The lead agent noticed, and his expression hardened. "Last chance. Show us your ID." Nicole thought about her children waiting at school, about the easy compliance that would end this. But she also thought about every other person who'd been stopped this way, who hadn't known their rights, who'd surrendered them out of fear. "No, I'm calling my attorney." She dialed with shaking fingers. Diana Velasquez answered on the 2nd ring. Nicole put it on speaker. "Diana, I'm being detained by ICE at the Lowe's on North Loop. They won't state probable cause." Diana's voice came through clear and firm. "Don't answer any questions. I'm recording this call. Agents, this is Diana Velasquez, Texas Civil Rights Project. What crime are you investigating?" The silence stretched. Someone's car alarm chirped in the distance. The sun beat down. Nicole's recording kept running. "We're conducting a compliance operation," the lead agent finally said. Diana's response was immediate. "That's not an answer. What specific facts give you reasonable suspicion to stop my client?" "We received reports of fraudulent activity in this area." "What reports? What activity? What did Ms. Johnson specifically do that was suspicious?" No answer. The agent's radio crackled. He turned away, spoke too quietly to hear. When he turned back, his expression had changed, harder, more determined. "Ma'am, We're going to need you to come with us for questioning." Nicole's stomach dropped. "Am I under arrest?" "We have authority to detain, not without probable cause," Diana's voice cut in. "You cannot detain her without articulable reasonable suspicion. This is an illegal detention." The parking lot had filled with spectators now. A man in work clothes called out, "Y'all got a warrant?" "Sir, step back. I'm on public property. Simple question. You got a warrant for this lady?" The lead agent's hand moved toward Nicole's arm. She stepped back. "I'm not resisting. I'm simply refusing an illegal order." He grabbed her anyway. Nicole kept her body still, didn't pull away, but spoke clearly for the cameras. "I'm not resisting arrest. I'm being detained without legal cause. I need to pick up my children from school." The handcuffs were cold metal against her wrists, too tight. She felt them bite into her skin, but didn't react, just kept breathing, kept talking. "I'm an American citizen being detained illegally. This is being recorded." They walked her toward a black SUV. Nicole moved slowly, deliberately. "Am I under arrest? What are the charges?" No answer. When they reached the vehicle, she stopped. "I'm not getting in that vehicle. You haven't arrested me legally. Forcing me in there is kidnapping." Diana's voice, still on speakerphone in Nicole's pocket. "Agents, you are violating clearly established constitutional law. This will have consequences." The crowd had grown, phones everywhere. The young agent looked sick. The third agent had stepped away entirely, speaking urgently into his radio. A crackle of static, then a new voice through the radio. "Release the subject. Stand down. Return to base." The lead agent's face went red, but he unlocked the cuffs, yanked them off. Nicole's wrists were marked, red, swollen, already darkening. Someone in the crowd took a photo. The flash made her blink. The agents got in their vehicle and drove away, without a word. Nicole stood in the parking lot, breathing hard, feeling the adrenaline crash hit her system. The Lowe's employee approached, concerned. The veteran nodded approval. Strangers she'd never met had witnessed, had cared, had helped. Nicole looked at her wrists. Evidence. She took her own photos, hands shaking so badly she almost dropped the phone. Then she drove to pick up her children. 15 minutes late, her wrists aching, and her world completely changed. That night, Nicole sat at her kitchen table after the kids were asleep. The photos of her wrists glowed on her laptop screen. Red marks, clear impressions of the cuffs. She'd sent them to Diana, who'd called immediately. "We're filing a civil rights lawsuit, federal court, Fourth Amendment violation, unlawful detention, excessive force." Nicole stared at the images. What if they come back? They won't. Too much documentation, too many witnesses. "Nicole, you did everything right." But it didn't feel right. It felt terrifying. It felt like her life had split into before and after, and she couldn't get back to before. Over the next weeks, the story spread. Local news picked it up, then national. Nicole's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Her mother called from Houston, worried. Friends reached out. Strangers sent messages, some supportive, some vicious. "If you'd just shown your ID, this wouldn't have happened." Race card. Always the victim. Nicole read them all, each one a small wound. But she also read the other messages, from people who'd been stopped the same way, who hadn't known their rights, who thanked her for fighting back. Diana filed the lawsuit. Nicole Johnson versus Marcus Webb, Timothy Chavez, Brian Foster, and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It became public record. Her name in the news, her face on television, her story dissected by strangers. At work, her boss called her in. "Keep it low profile, please. Some parents are concerned." Nicole wanted to scream that she hadn't asked for this, hadn't wanted to become a symbol, but she just nodded and went back to her desk. The legal process ground forward. Depositions. Discovery. ICE's lawyers arguing the agents had acted reasonably, claiming qualified immunity. Diana fighting back with video evidence, witness statements, documentation of the agent's pattern of similar stops. Nicole learned that Agent Webb had been complained about before, 3 times, all dismissed by internal review. "This wasn't random," Diana said. "This is how he operates." The deposition was brutal. 6 hours of ICE's attorney picking apart every detail, every decision, trying to make Nicole's assertion of rights seem like defiance, her fear seem like performance. "You could have just shown your ID and gone home," the attorney suggested. "I could have surrendered my constitutional rights to make armed federal agents more comfortable." "Yeah," Nicole replied. She left that room hollowed out, exhausted. But Diana said she'd done well, that the attorney hadn't found any cracks. Months passed. Nicole existed in a strange limbo, going to work, raising her kids, preparing for trial. The case consumed everything. She lost weight, stopped sleeping well, started checking her rearview mirror constantly, afraid the agents would come back. Then Judge Brennan denied ICE's motion for summary judgment. 23 pages explaining why no reasonable officer could have believed the stop was constitutional. "We're going to trial," Diana said, and Nicole felt both relief and terror. ICE offered to settle $50,000, no admission of wrongdoing, confidentiality clause. Nicole wanted to take it, wanted this to be over. But then she met Rosa and Martin, two of Webb's previous complainants who'd never gotten justice, who'd stayed silent because they were afraid or didn't have resources. "Don't let them buy your silence," Rosa said. Nicole rejected the settlement. They went to trial. The courtroom felt massive and claustrophobic at once. Nicole sat at the plaintiff's table and watched the jury file in, 12 strangers who would decide if her rights mattered. Diana's opening statement was powerful. "You're going to see this encounter with your own eyes, and you're going to ask yourself, what specific facts justified stopping Nicole Johnson? The answer is none. The only fact was that she was black and shopping alone." The trial lasted 2 weeks. The jury watched the video evidence, Nicole's steady voice asking for justification, Webb's inability to provide any, the crowd of witnesses, the illegal handcuffing. Jim Patterson testified about what he'd seen as a veteran who knew lawful authority. Marcus Chen explained the legal standards. Dr. Kim discussed racial profiling patterns. Webb took the stand and couldn't answer Diana's central question. "What specific facts made you suspicious of Ms. Johnson?" His silence was damning. The jury saw it. Nicole saw them seeing it. When she testified, Nicole described the fear, the humiliation, the marks on her wrists that had faded physically but remained psychologically. She showed the photos. The courtroom went silent. The jury deliberated for 7 hours. Nicole waited in a conference room, unable to eat, unable to think about anything except what came next. When they called her back, her legs barely held her. The foreperson stood and read the verdict. "We find in favor of the plaintiff, Nicole Johnson, on all counts." Nicole felt tears streaming down her face before she fully processed the words. 75,000 in compensatory damages, 100,000 in punitive damages against Webb personally, a recommendation for institutional reforms. Victory, real, documented, official victory. The jury had believed her, had confirmed that her rights mattered, that the violation was real, that accountability was necessary. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded them. Diana spoke about constitutional rights and civil liberties. Nicole stood beside her and said simply, "This wasn't just about me. This was about everyone who's been stopped without cause. The Constitution applies to all of us." 6 months after the verdict, Nicole stood in a community center running a Know Your Rights workshop. 40 people filled the room, families who'd faced similar stops, who didn't know they could fight back, who needed what Nicole now had to offer: knowledge, resources, hope. She'd used part of the settlement to create the Civil Rights Defense Fund, a small non-profit, connecting people with lawyers, teaching constitutional rights, supporting those who challenged abuse of power. "My name is Nicole Johnson," she told the room. 18 months ago, I was stopped in a parking lot by federal agents who demanded my papers without justification. I refused. They detained me anyway. And eventually, with help and witnesses and a jury that believed in the Constitution, I won." During the break, a young mother approached with a baby on her hip. "My husband was deported 2 years ago. They stopped him outside our apartment, said he matched a description. I didn't know we could fight. If I'd known then what I know now." Nicole hugged this stranger who carried a pain she couldn't fully imagine. "Keep fighting. Don't give up." After the workshop, Nicole drove past the Lowe's where it had all happened. She could have avoided it, often did, but tonight she drove past deliberately, looking at the parking space where she'd been surrounded. Just empty asphalt now, ordinary, unremarkable. But Nicole remembered, and that memory wasn't just trauma anymore. It was also triumph. Proof that one person, armed with knowledge and courage and support, could challenge power and win. At home, her kids were fighting over the remote. Normal problems, the best kind. Nicole mediated, then retreated to her room and looked at the photo of her marked wrists one more time. The physical marks were gone, but their meaning remained. Evidence of violation, yes, but also evidence of resistance, of standing up when it would have been easier to comply, of choosing principle over convenience. Her laptop showed 3 new requests for help through the fund, people who needed what she could now provide. She couldn't help everyone, but she could help some, could teach them what she'd learned, could transform her pain into protection for others. Nicole closed her laptop and checked on her sleeping children one last time. Then she went to bed and, for the first time in 18 months, slept deeply and dreamlessly. The fight had been long, the cost had been high, but the victory, measured in rights affirmed, people helped, changes made, was real. Tomorrow she'd wake up and continue the work. Not because she had to, but because she could, because her voice, once silenced by fear in a parking lot, had found its power for herself, for her children, for everyone who'd been told to comply, to stay quiet, to accept violations of their dignity. The Constitution wasn't just words. It was a promise, and Nicole Johnson had proven that sometimes, when you fight for that promise with everything you have, it keeps its word.